Welcome everybody. Today we are here with Christopher Delalonde, Master Sommelier, once again, and we talking about the Perfect TastingBOX of Perfect Cellar. And this time we are going to South Africa because this is what we call a spotlight on South Africa. And we are going through three interesting wines, although the grape varieties are not so much out there, but quite traditional South African varietals, if we can say that. But the wines are amazing. So before we head into the show, let's just see this. And here we are, back with Christopher, and we're starting with, I believe, something like this.
Yeah, we start with red as usual. I think it's always a great declination as to sort of get your palate with the biggest wine of the panel, get sort of the richness, the concentration, the power, because your palate is still very much tuned, and then finish with the white because the acidity will cleanse up and then we balance things out. So if you do big tasting, as sometimes I do, you always start with the red. I know we tend to go oppositely with lunch and dinner and food. We start with the wine and you go crescendo, which makes sense. But if you do tasting, opposite actually makes much more sense in terms of tuning your palate and maintaining that sense of primary character. It's the same thing. Very often I have the conversation with guests or with wine lover as in terms of vintages. A lot of people like to start with the youngest and finish with the oldest. For me, it's a no-brainer. You start with the oldest because again, your palate is fine-tuned, is ready, is fresh, has that capacity to dig a bit further in. So therefore, you go with the more complex, the more layered, the more intense, probably also the more difficult, intricate wines to decipher. And I'm talking about things that are 50, 60, 70 years old. And then you go back to things that are younger, things that definitely have more flavors, that are bolder. And therefore you palate adjust to that because you get more and more tired, obviously. So people like to do the opposite. So be it. It's everybody can see meet their own down step. But personally, this is, I think, the best way to enjoy.
But in this case, we have a Pinotage from 2022, and we have a much older and probably much more layered Grange from Grangehurst from South Africa from 2008. What would you say? Why to start with Pinotage this time?
We start with the Pinotage because in terms of grape variety to start with. So Pinotage is a very interesting grape variety. It was developed by Professor Abraham Pernot in the 20s. I think it was finalized in 1924 and the first bottling was in 1928. And it's a cross of Merlot and Cinsault. No, Cinsault et Pinot Noir, sorry.
Pinot Noir, I was going to say, yes.
Yeah, Pinot Noir and Cinsault, sorry. And completely sort of mind-blowing blend. Not, I shouldn't say that, but Pinotage, in essence, doesn't make sense. It's just, why would you blend those two grape varieties? What's the interest?
Is it blending or crossing? Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, blend as such as exactly what I mean as blending, as marriage of two different grape varieties to produce one that became Pinotage. But I think you historically, I read something about it because I really wanted to understand the idea, and again, you have to go back in a different time. We're talking about the 1920s, 100 years ago. Wine production, climatology, disease, understanding, winemaking techniques, and so on and so forth wasn't really advanced at this stage. So it was trying to basically resurrect or erect as such one industry in a country that was just very wild, and nobody knew really what to do and where to go. And Pinot was already sort of thriving in Burgundy, even though Burgundy as such wasn't where it is nowadays. And Sanso had the capacity to take the climatology. I mean, we see just on the positioning of on the map as such, we say that South Africa is a new world country because we divide sort of northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, and most of the southern hemisphere are new world country. But if you talk about purely geologically, it's not a new world country. It's the land there is 500 million years ago. Old as such. So again, the ground and so on and so forth, the climatology, the positioning, the Bengala current, the wind, and so on, really bring something that is unique. So they're starting to explore, and the sort of northern and southern Rhone variety was the first thing that were brought. If you today look at the geography of South Africa and the different region as such, is one region called the French Hook. French Hook is what is basically African for French. Settlement of people that basically left France at the time of what we call l'Édit de Nantes, which was basically the hunting and the destruction of the Huguenots, and the Huguenots were the Protestant, so Christian, but didn't believe in a few things, blah 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 blah, and so that really basically had forced them to leave France. So a lot traveled anyway. They went to Canada, to the US, South America, and some people went to South Africa as such. So French Hook was basically their corner, and so they came with a lot of varieties, and that's where Sanso mainly was planted, and then the rest happened with time. So today, Pinotage is basically as Malbec is for Argentina, or Cabernet for Chile, and maybe Sauvignon Blanc to New Zealand to an extent.
Although the French would dispute this, the latest one.
No.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes.
But what I'm trying to say is that it's the representative of a grape variety. It's basically the own grape variety of South Africa. Is there? The footprint is there. It's what South Africa produce and is uniquely producing it. Again, with time, the first type of Pinotage and so on, and what we do now, and also climatology, understanding what that grape variety and clonage and whatever has brought up a very different style. I mean, the Pinotage that we actually get exposed to are nothing like what I did test 25 years ago, and the wines are much more sophisticated. They are unique. They have a flavor profile that doesn't go anywhere else, that you can't really find anywhere else. That sort of smoky, I would say I would use black powder. It's unique. It's that sort of explosion. The fireplaces kind of character that you find in no other variety. So if you have a Pinotage on a blind tasting, you get this flavor profile. It's Pinotage. South Africa, because one was the other one.
Unfortunately, obviously, Pinotage had this time. With bad reputation, with that sort of burnt rubber sort of tasting notes, and I keep telling people that it did exist, and then you might still find it, but the Pinotage what you're tasting now is much more sophisticated than the Pinotage what you tasted back in the days, I would say.
No, maybe precisely, it's exactly that. And now there's much more. So the sort of Pinot family part of the Pinotage cross is now even more present. So you definitely have all the berries, the red berries, the sort of blackberries, the crushed the lingonberries. You got that sort of approachability, that beautiful sensation of red fruit that really dominates the nose rather
Yeah.
than what you said, the sort of burnt rubber, and fireplace. That's the way
Mm.
I would decipher it. And it's definitely much more enjoyable, much more delicate, much more forward. And also, Pinotage was also planted like everywhere, like let's make Pinotage everywhere. But
Yeah.
obviously, it's like if you would plant Sauvignon Blanc anywhere in the world, everywhere,
Yeah.
some climatology will not take it.
Yeah.
Some
Exactly.
tradition will not accept it. Some terroir will not work because of the
Mm.
heat or the lack of water, the drought, or whatever. And that's exactly what happened. It didn't work in
Yeah.
many, many, many places. So now they really sort of point out. Uh,
They understand their own
this
terroir more, I would
Yeah, the
say.
sensation of terroir, exactly, the sense of place as such, for which grape variety really thrive, and deliver something that the winemaker and the consumer alike do enjoy and want to buy. And so the market is now really at the edge where you find some delicious Pinotage that you want to buy, that you want to list as such, and that you want to drink
Mm.
as a consumer, without going to the extreme of pricing, because it's not and we shouldn't be too much of a very expensive wines. But you know I mean, I love the labeling. I love the work, the artwork for those guys, and that's what I love about South Africa today. Is they are so upfront, they are so forward thinking, because
Yeah.
they know they got miles to join.
Yeah.
They're quite late in that aspect, because of development, because of economics, because of history, because of apartheid, because of blah 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 blah. You
Yeah.
name it. And nowadays they really are the forward thinker, with beautiful terroir, beautiful climatology, beautiful understanding, amazing people that really understand their country, and makes ones of beauties. Beauty. We list quite a few actually, white and red, and even by the glass, in operations, because I really think that they deliver. First of all, they deliver value for money, but also I believe they are beautiful archetype. Carignan, Roussanne, Marsanne, obviously some Sauvignon
Yeah.
Blanc. We'll talk about Chenin in a minute when we come
Yeah.
to the red, another great variety that made his home in South Africa, even though the original sort of Chenin Blanc is back home in France, obviously in the Loire Valley, with Vouvray, with
Yeah.
Montlouis, with Anjou, and so on and so forth. But you can't take away the quality of the ones that come from South Africa, with that great variety, and again in a uniqueness. It's not it's they're not pretending to be something else. They
Yeah.
are what they are. They stand their ground, and that's the beauty of it. So this Angus Paul Western Cape, so W, word of accommodation, 13% of alcohol. Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Cool climate. I mean, cool climate, yes. So the Western Cape. So Western Cape opens up. So it's very different. So Darling, Stellenbosch, and so on and so forth. And so if you blend different region, you can't call it that region. So you call it Western Cape. It's
Yes.
as simple as that. Um, and in every single bottle of South Africa, you got that little stamp that was established in the 70s, basically. As You have to, as a producer, you have to put that, to allocate that to any given bottle, because it's what it is. Is a number that basically tells you who you are, where you are located, and then the testing panel, and so on and so forth. Every single bottle of South African wine has it. It's
and and and
you
I
can't
really like the fact that it says integrity and sustainability,
and
which,
certified.
yes, it is certified. Yeah, and I think it makes sense in today's marketplace as well, to have some sort of, you know, these are not. And I feel these are not just words from them. I think they are actually mean this, because
Yeah, it's
well,
a sense. Sort of it's a lifestyle
yes,
sustainability. I mean, don't forget that's South Africa. For almost like 7 years in a row was under drought. So sustainability, the reuse of obviously of water, or even the lack of water, so the ability to try to still survive. And especially, I mean, grapes are a very thirsty fruit. Wine production is a very heavy consumer of water.
Yes.
I think in Europe, it's staggering, and maybe I shouldn't say that, but I will. In Europe, the acceptance is to produce 1 liter of wine, it's 12 liter of water.
Yeah. I
By
think
the
you I
time
think you mentioned this before. Yes. Yeah.
by
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
time you clean up the material, by the time you, because obviously it's very heavily constrained, so everything needs to be super clean and blah 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 blah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very very water thirsty, literally.
Yeah.
So when you are on the drought in a country like South Africa, it becomes quite difficult unless you can again have a sustainability. So maybe
Yeah.
reuse that water, find a way to have maybe a lake or something where it just feed back and cleans up naturally, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
it is definitely a mindset, and sustainability for a country like South Africa. Again, it's very very important, given the economics, given the politics
Yeah.
in the country, where even in 2023 every day there is power shortage.
Yeah.
We're not going to go in that direction because that's not the idea, but it's one of those countries that's still very much in progress as such.
Yes.
Obviously, they have, one beautiful thing about them is that they can play rugby. Uh,
You,
to my
we,
detriment,
we talked about this, that you're not allowed to mention rugby, and then there you are.
it's
You're
to my
talking about
detriment.
rugby.
Look, you know what? 1 point. So I'm still a bit bitter about it, but at the end of the day, if it helps their country, so be it. And I think it's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. But coming back to the grape variety and to the wine, I think as a wine drinker and as a wine lover, I would be like, Pinotage from Western Cape. What?
Yes.
What?
You
Could
wouldn't be 100% sure that this is the bottle what you have to pick from the shelf, right?
it probably wouldn't be my first. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Then again, you come across, this beautiful works ceiling, which you think again it's
Yeah.
very sustainable. There's no metal. Then you pull the cork out, and then you've got this beautiful. So it's a brand called Diam. So again, it's very sustainable. So it's cork diced very very thinly, and then it's stick together with flour glue. So it's completely inodor, completely odorant and tasteful, and then creates those cork that are completely free on any disease, and mainly
Yeah.
Brettanomyces and what we call trichloroanisole, which is basically the cork test. So it's a very forward thinking, sustainable again, and fantastic way of corking your bottle. And
And just
nowadays,
very very briefly jumping in here, Chris, sorry, because what I wanted to mention, that if anyone's interested about this sort of subject, we actually talked about this on a different video, if you remember, without with a cork versus screw cap video, and
yeah,
we
no,
explained
exactly.
the
So
diam there.
it's a great cork. I mean, don't get me wrong. And this is about 50 cents of a euro, 60 cents of a
Mhm.
euro. So it's not cheap. It's really good
Yeah.
quality. So again, elevating the entire effort, the entire projection of not
Yeah.
just producing, a wine that I try to make, appealing, is that I make a great wine, and I want to make sure that my consumer, on the other hand, when he pulls that cork, he's got everything in his hand to have something that is actually what I've tried to achieve. The
Yes.
mind behind the label is actually, very very
Yeah.
powerful, and I find that fantastic. And then you pour the wine in the glass, and then here we are. Here we go. You've got
Although we're supposed to
a
pour from the
ruby,
little boxes this
sort
time,
of a
but
deep.
we're having the wine.
No, no, exactly. A sort of a deep ruby. Yeah, deep ruby. Yeah, deepish ruby core. You can see a little bit your glass underneath, your finger underneath the glass, but not much. It's deep, as I said,
I was actually very surprised about the color, because I think I was expecting a little bit light, a little bit. more see-through sort of.
Again, if you go back in time, that would be the opposite.
Yeah,
You know, Pinotage would be super extracted,
yeah,
super ripe,
yeah,
and get really dark, inky, and stinky as such. So whereas now, again, I mean, everything is combined. Everything there is less together. It's a 13% of alcohol, so it's probably ripened to perfection, harvest quite early to maintain that acidity profile. It's Western Cape, so again you got the Simmonsberg mountains there, so again quite elevated. You got the Cape Doctor, which is the wind, and the Benguela current, which is basically so you got two currents in the ocean coming, one from the Atlantic and one from the ocean, and from the Indian Ocean, sorry, and they kind of combine together there, and they create that torment into the water, and creates a lot of wind. So the Cape Doctor again. So you got a lot of cold influence coming through into the south of the country, that helps really cooling down. I mean, at the end of the day, you're in Africa. It's hot. It's warm. It's a really warm country. So having that really helps to maintain that freshness. Like I always say, the journal, the temperature, the difference of temperature during the day and the night is crucial for winemaking, especially again in that climate. So a very representing of the grape variety and the climatology and the style of the research of the winemaker. And then, as I said, you've got all those berries coming through. That's the first thing you get: berries, berry, crushed berries, touch jams, maybe bit of spices, touch flowery, violet, spring flowers.
very. For me, it is a lot of that sort of wildflower sort of notes
Yeah,
coming
and to me,
through.
it goes directly into cranberry, pomegranate. That's sort of flavor profile. So red, very, very red.
And in the beginning, when I just opened the bottle, actually, that was quite interesting. I had that sort of slightly almost earthy nose as well, but that's now disappeared from the glass for me. So
And there's definitely some oak in there. You got a bit of cinnamon and cloves, and a slight touch of earthiness also on the nose.
mm,
But it's very, very enticing. It's quite forward. It's not the most complex nose that does exist, but it's very, very enticing. So that's why I kind of jumped on to the tasting.
yeah,
And so the first thing I would say is, is it's not a type of wine that you wait last minute to open. You give it some time. You have to respect
yeah,
that type of wine. You have to open it up in early, or if you can decant it, because straight away there you got that coating of tannin.
definitely,
It's
yeah,
actually quite powerful in terms of flavor profile, structure. The oak is there, got beautiful fruit, beautiful ripeness, beautiful intensity and complexity, but it's sort of raw diamond, if you see what I mean. I'd
yes,
like to
yeah,
see that. I'd like to see that in first of all, maybe in a couple of years, and definitely a couple of hours.
yeah,
Because like you, I just opened it when we met about an hour ago, and it needs a bit more time.
yeah.
But it's a very, very well knitted, made Pinotage that has a not a Pinotage lover, to say the least, and not the greatest advocate
Yeah.
of that variety. I would definitely look at it and experience it more, because I think that it's very well made. It's a beautiful wine.
Yes,
Uh,
I think it's just so much in balance, and I love the fact that you have that like really coating tannins, and then you have that brilliant acidity as well, and the fruit is just brilliant. It's very nicely
Fruit
ripened.
size.
Yeah,
There's more plums. There's more dark fruit actually on the palate. There's a sweet touch. Definitely the oak flavor profile bring that sort of sweet cloves and cinnamon. But
and
it's beautifully intense
and
and
I
very
can
well
I can
constructed. and beautiful talents,
easily
beautiful
drink.
talents.
I can easily drink a bottle of this without a doubt. But I can see this with
I
like
don't believe
loads
you.
of different food options as well.
I just don't believe you. But that's the next point. Is a sort of wine that again you don't really have on its own. It's something that you think of with some proteins. If you open that early, you can even go like with hamon, ham or whatever, something that has kind of that of kind of oily character to kind of
Yeah, true.
supplement a little bit on the
Mhm.
palate. Something definitely salted, again to
Yeah.
help with the palate confronting this the tannin structure. But don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful tannin structure.
Mhm.
It's quite apparent, but it's something that just needs to be a bit tamed. And
Yeah.
again, decanting maybe a bit warmer. My one is a little bit cold, which also elevate that sensation of kind of tightness toward the back
Yeah.
palate. But again, a beautiful risotto with mushroom, beautiful piece of meat, roasted piece of meat, or just pan-fried piece of meat, or even poultry would work.
Yeah.
Spicy, for me, anything spicy, Asian food, Indian food, for example. Something that's got some dimension, and if you go exotic, ostrich ostrich steak
Mhm.
would be welcome.
I'm not sure I have
Well measured.
I'm not sure I have it in the fridge at the moment, but I can run
No,
down to the
no,
closest
no, no. I've
open.
got some squirrel if you want.
Okay.
Um, that's not true. But no, no, it's definitely one of those ones that needs some food. Maybe a couple of months, or even a couple of years in the cellar as to sort of evolve a bit. But if you decide to indulge, have a couple of bottles, definitely open a bottle an hour or two before you're having it with
Mm.
your friends, because you will kill it. That's for sure. The wine will sing and will tell you a lot of different stories because it's really well made. It's really good, really good.
Yes, I mean, I'm slightly disagree with you on one part. I can still think I could finish this bottle. Maybe what I should do is I just do that tonight, and I post something about it on Instagram or something tomorrow to see if I did it or not. But maybe I shouldn't do that. But on the other hand, in terms of the food options, I think I stopped thinking about food when we talked about like almost like this sort of charcuterie style of thing, because that is what this wine, especially because maybe because it's a young wine, um, it's still fairly easy
You can go
drinking.
games, I think, because the structure again. You can go games. You can venison. You can go wild boar. You can go,
Yeah,
birds like feathers games as such. It's quite it's quite versatile in a way, in this expression, but you
yeah,
definitely need to go in a sort of intense food pairing.
yeah.
Like for example, if you go with a very light salmon with vanilla, mm, that's not
It's
gonna
not
work.
gonna up. Yeah,
It's not gonna work.
yeah,
If you think, I mean, I love mackerel, but even mackerel with this, we're not gonna work.
mm,
It's just too it's too light somewhere.
yeah,
Paltry might be a little bit too. You need something that's got some depth of flavors
yeah,
there, to work with that intensity, that structure, and that power.
yeah.
But without that, beautiful, great bottle of wine.
Yeah, lovely wine. And I think in terms of price point, it's a very for a quality wine, I think it's still fairly approachable. So we're talking about full price 25, 25. And as we go down on the memberships, you can get it for £20. I think it's a very nice wine for £20 bottle.
I mean, at £20, it's definitely something that you would consider.
Yeah,
It's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap, but you can tell why. You understand why it's not.
yeah,
An entry level one. There's definitely some riches, some attention, some details,
yeah,
a lot of thinking, and a lot of cool nights and non-sleepy nights in order to bring that to the market. I think, and the guy
yeah,
behind this is a genius for sure.
Yeah. Shall we move on to wine number 2, just to make it a bit bigger?
Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot from Stellenbosch. So we stay very much in the same area, basically. So Stellenbosch just above Cape Town. Same system, same idea when it comes to climatology. The Northern Cape, the Cape Doctor, so the wind, the Bengala, the current, the water current that really cool down all that area, the Siemensberg mountains that really kind of cover and protect and elevate a little bit. Quite a vast area. Stellenbosch is you see a plethora of wine coming from Stellenbosch. It's a sea of wine there, literally. But again, because of that, you've got great terroir for Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, which again in the history of South Africa came quite later, as the French brought those grape varieties from Bordeaux, thinking the climatology, because it can be quite Mediterranean. And for years, South Africa was sort of on the verge that they were looking still for their own path, such as, are we going toward the Rhone side, so the Cinsault, the Cabernet, the Syrah, the Grenache, and so on, or are we going more sort of Bordeaux style? And now it's kind of divided, I would say. You got the Cabernet, the Merlot that's thriving in one part. You got the Rhone varietal that works more in like the western part, the Scotland, and so on. Yeah. And then toward the east and southeast, especially close to the climate, to this ocean, again for the climate, you've got beautiful Chardonnays and Pinot Noir that thrives and makes amazing wine. Yeah. So finally they sort of understood again the sensation and the notion of terroir, as we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
What here is interesting is the two aspects. Is the fact that it's Cabernet Sauvignon, so much more classical in terms of blend and grape variety. But it's a 15 years bottle of wine.
Yeah,
and it's still, to me, so deep. The color is so deep. I mean, you can't really see through. And again, you got that sort of glossy. You saw that that sort of super ripe, modern approach to winemaking and style. It reminds me a little bit of the conversation we had last month with that Rioja, La Rad. Not that they are the same one at all, but there's that sort of philosophy of making wine that are just a bit more shiny, that are a bit more to sort of please and almost
crowd pleaser, you mean?
Yeah, but also to challenge the consumer on terms of, like, it's 15 years old, but you still have all those packed fruit, that intensity again, that power, and you're thinking it's 15 years old and it still has that. So imagine when it was 3 years old, maybe it wasn't even drinkable.
It's probably undrinkable, actually.
You wonder.
You wouldn't.
You wonder.
Yeah. I mean, on the nose, that's like really deep, and it has like lots of sort of mint and
very jammy, chocolatey, almondy, butterscotch, butter chocolate, such maybe a bit of tar somehow.
And it's only 14% alcohol, which
but again, the really managed that balance of alcohol, because you get the ripeness, but it's long hanging time, so the fruits slowly ripen, and you got that beautiful balance of the sugar and the acidity. So again, in terms of winemaking, it's judging that to perfection, and then bringing it the next level after alcoholic fermentation and malolactic fermentation in order to balance the outcome. And again, there's a lot of technique used in the winemaking. You can tell, from the depth of the wine, from the color, from the flavor profile. There's definitely a lot of oak used originally in there. Definitely French oak, definitely new French oak, definitely small barrique, and for quite a while. But again, I think, even though it's not personally my style of wine, because the glossy character, the modern character. But as a wine drinker, it's something that I would like to have on my table, because it's an elevation, it's a style, it's an approach to something that, again, if you compare to a Bordeaux, and we've had many Bordeaux on this on
Yes.
tasting panel, that is 2008. uh, it will be very interesting to compare,
Yeah.
and same price structure, which one actually is delivering more to a certain audience. Some people will probably prefer the Bordeaux because it's been
Yeah.
more evolved, and more earthy, a bit more ethereal. Whereas some people would prefer this because it's much more forward. It's more intense. It has much more structure, much more fruit, and very, very, very alive.
It's not a good comparison, but it almost reminds me of Priorat a little bit, because of that, probably that sort of dark, ripe fruit which you
It's
get
the oak.
often from Priorat,
It's the oak.
and probably the oak as well.
It's the
Yes,
oak.
yes.
Yeah, it's the oak. No, but I agree with what you say. There is definitely a savory character on the palate
Mm.
that also you get with Tempranillo and Garnacha. I would agree. But the oak polishing is very much something that could be deciphered as international, even though I don't like to use that word.
Or
As
new worldy, maybe would that be
well,
one?
it's more the fact that to me you lose a little bit the sense of place. It could be anything from anywhere, and
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
again
yeah, yeah.
as
I
a
see
wine
what you
lover, and
mean.
especially as a sommelier, I don't want that. If we
Yes.
come back to the Pinotage, it has a sense of place. It's unique.
Mm.
Again, a Cabernet Merlot.
Yeah.
Cabernet today is the most planted grape variety in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. So it means that you get Cabernet growing everywhere under
Yeah.
each part of the sun. From India to New Zealand, passing by Australia, passing by Uruguay,
China.
Paraguay,
Yes.
Chile, obviously Argentina, Brazil, and then coming up to south to California, obviously,
Yeah.
going all across the country, and then in Canada. And then you go back to the other side of in Europe, and obviously with Bordeaux, and then everything is everywhere in Europe. You got
Yes.
Cabernet in Austria, in Germany. Uh, in Italy, obviously, in Spain, in
Yeah.
Portugal, and you name it.
Yes.
In Morocco you got Cabernet. So the sense of place can be easily lost, in translation, if I'm
Yes.
to use that expression. And to me, it's very dangerous. I'm not a big fan of that. I
Yeah.
want a sense of place. If
Yeah.
I buy a South African wine, it's not because it could be because I'm South African and I want to support my economy and my country,
Yeah.
and I respect that entirely. But then in that glass of wine, am I in South Africa just because the label says it? I wouldn't especially
Yeah.
agree as to kind of a translation from the food. But
Yeah.
again, this is a style that represent at least the winemaking philosophy and a climatology and a style and a blend. So be it.
And it's probably a style which actually a lot of people really like, because a lot of people do like that sort of, if you can call it, international style of winemaking.
And
Because
again,
yes, it
you,
is. It
you
is that.
compare it to another Cabernet Merlot blend
Yeah.
from anywhere in the world, you might think that again, value for money is the best of them all.
Yeah.
Who are we to judge? It's just I'm just giving. I'm just giving a view on the bottle of wine to me that is staggering in a part that it's 15 years, super alive,
Yeah.
super well made, in a style that represents what the winemaker has tried to establish, and
Yeah.
that still today deliver so much in
Yeah.
a perception, in an angle that, as I said, it's not especially what I'd like to drink personally, but
Yeah.
there's definitely some people out there, if you compare again to something else, that will definitely deliver some pleasure
Yeah.
without a doubt,
Exactly.
without a
Exactly.
doubt.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think because Cabernet and Merlot are so international, It's very difficult to create, in many ways, a sense of place, and not many regions can do it. But at the same time, um, I, I I do think that this is a style which a lot of people would really love, regardless whether us as trade people or people in the wine industry actually probably would choose the Pinotage over this. At least that's my feeling about it.
I think here what is also really interesting is the sort of combination what you can do with that bottle of wine. And again, when we talk about food, obviously, sensation of time. So it's winter, and it will definitely work with winter flavor profile. Potatoes, earthy flavor, um, anything that to do again with
Protein.
long cooking stews and so on and so forth. But vice versa, you're thinking, because it's only 13% of alcohol. So
14, isn't it? 14.
is it 14? I thought it was
It's
13.
14, 14, 14.
14, 14. But you don't feel it. Again, you don't feel it.
No,
You
it's
really feel it.
balanced. Yeah.
But again, you can imagine that at, again, keeping it on a cooler side. So you're in the barbecue, you're outside, it's a beautiful day, wherever in the UK. You put that in a bucket in the dark, in a shade, with few ice cubes and a lot of water, just to maintain it along the line of 16, 17, maybe 18 degrees Celsius. And you have a barbecue with your mate, and you grill all those fantastic piece of meat or whatever, and that barbecue, that flavor profile will actually
Yeah.
help and match with the wine so well, and you drink that all day, obviously not under the sun, because that will definitely not help your hangover the day after.
What are you talking
but
about? Yes, it just
but but
finishes the party earlier. That's all. Yeah.
but the charcoal aspect of
Yeah.
the barley, and that type of wine will play wonder. Absolute
Yes.
absolute wonder. Absolute
Yeah.
wonder. So again, that style, that versatility is something that is pretty unique.
Mm. Yeah. I agree. I think it's a very, I don't know if I can say classically made Cabernet Merlot blend, but it's certainly a classic style of wine with a bit more inter. I think the term what you use
Juice.
international is
Good
very
juice.
good actually.
It's beautiful. There's a lot of juice there. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 approachable.
Hmm.
It's maybe not as enticing as the Pinotage, because the Pinotage is unique and so on and so forth, and
Yeah.
the red berries maybe makes it a little bit more,
Approachable.
yeah, exactly, sexy. But there is, beautiful structure, fantastic acidity,
Yeah.
a lot of parameter. It's quite walled, with the
Yeah.
tannin and the power of the fruit again, and the layering. There's definitely something that, I mean, strangely enough, it's the third time I go back to the wine and retest it as just to just get more information and more layer and more information. It's a big beast. Don't get me wrong. It's
Yeah.
actually quite a big bodied wine, but it has a beautiful drive and an approachability that is unique. Again, it's
Yeah.
great. What we're talking about money wise there?
So we're talking about full price 31.45,
Yeah.
which is, we're getting onto a higher territory, but cheapest price is £25
Yeah,
16.
but it's a 15 years old bottle of wine. I mean,
That's another thing. I mean, if you just imagine the amount of time which this bottle waited for you to actually enjoy, it is it's not so much of a
in
money
the world of wine, I mean, I'm not
anymore.
trying to be difficult here, but in the world of wine, when anything you will drink nowadays with 15 years of bottlage label, you will pay for it.
Yes,
Uh,
and sometimes double the price of this actually, I think.
so it could be, yeah, it could be a very it's easily reached and even surpassed
Mhm.
for something of that age. So
Yeah.
Again, it's not cheap, but I think every single penny is worth it in the glass of wine.
And also, just one quick question on this one, and before we move on to the Chenin, what do you think in terms of, how much time does this have left? Because it's still fairly fruity, but you still get that
Five,
development on it.
five,
So
five, easy.
another 5 years, yeah.
Easy,
Mhm.
easy. But '08, I did some research, and in '08 in Australia, in
South
South
Africa,
Africa, it's a great vintage. Huh? It's a
yeah,
great vintage. So great vintage. What does that mean? It means that you got everything put in together. That even though it's a drought vintage, again. But it has definitely put you can feel that every single moving part and box were ticked in order to come together like a nice puzzle and now delivering.
mm,
And has definitely a sense of cellaring ability as well as drinkability.
yeah, yeah. Well,
And that's the
brilliant.
thing, is that you can open it and drink it, but you can thinking, okay, let's buy 2 3 bottles. Let's say it's in January, and then even in August. It's you don't have to worry. Oh, I need to rush because it's gonna collapse. It's nowhere that cliff yet. Nowhere.
Yes, it's probably not that. We're not there yet with this
No,
one.
no, 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 no. No, it will come though. It will come. It will come. But it's definitely not there. No, 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 no that, no that, no, 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 no issue, no rush, no, 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 no worries.
And with that, I think we can move on to the white. It still sounds a bit strange moving from really big red to a white, but this is how we do it
I think it
recently.
will highlight the point. So as soon as you put the Chenin Blanc in your on your palate, you will realize how much it cleans up all that
Yeah,
sweetness, all that
yeah,
power, all that tannin, and then sort of refresh and put things back in perspective, and the white will even shine
yeah,
more, because also just a matter of logistic, is that you probably, like everybody else, would put the red outside
yeah,
from the cellar 2 hours ago, but you left the white for longer, so it's colder, and then it takes longer to warm up, and then as the white wine is colder, it's also much more inhibited. But because we gave it another half an hour, 45 minutes even, to warm up, now something has happened in the glass. It warmed up. So you
yeah.
got a flavor profile that is actually culminating, that is slowly building up, that is slightly
Opening.
we're flowering as such,
Yeah,
but coming to fruition. And that's exactly what is the point with white wine. We drink white wine far too
yeah.
cold.
I
Far
mean,
too.
in my case, Chris, because I was so late for this recording, I
What do
put
you mean
everything
recording?
out
What
of.
are you talking about? We're live.
Are we live? Sorry, I forget about this. No, anyway, but yeah, I was so late, and what I did, I put everything into my wine fridge, and it's set for 11 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, that's
So
quite low.
when I pull it out, it actually opens up a little bit more. But I think the white is actually in a very good condition at this stage. So the reds might be slightly cooler than I wanted them to be, but the white is good.
Now, my mom, my fantastic flat is. I'm very sarcastic, by the way. But my fantastic flat is actually pretty cold.
Yes.
And I'm well, I'm
You
just
don't need a fridge, basically. Yes.
yeah, precisely. No, everything is just outside the fridge. I don't need a fridge. So I think my thermometer stands at sort of 17, 18, which
Okay.
for most
Cellar
people is too
temperature
cold.
almost.
But
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely fine. And for the red 18, I'm typical wine book. Room temperature. 18
Yeah.
Celsius, perfect. So my white and my red are actually same temperature.
Yeah.
The white feels a little bit cooler than the red, funnily enough. But off the record, as the wine is called, funnily enough, I've opened the white yesterday.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
Yes, because I really wanted to see what these guys had to say, because I've read some stuff of the internet, and again, it's one of those winemaker, and I mean, again, another GM, another um, wax stop, so sustainability, no use of metal, something that is easily recycled, and so on and so forth, natural, blah blah blah. So it's definitely a word that is now spread really widely, anywhere and everywhere, as let's make some wine, let's make some fantastic wines, but also let's think about the next generation, our kids, and so on and so forth. So 100% Chenin Blanc. So the South African call it Steen, so STEEN. I'm not really sure where it comes from, to be honest. But that's the nickname of the Chenin Blanc that originally again came from the Loire Valley, and one of the only country in the world that is capable to produce amazing Chenin Blanc. And it's funny because it's a great variety that personally, as a somm, even though I've done this for a few years, it took me years to actually understand and like Chenin Blanc. For forever, I never sort of understood it. I never really got a glimpse, never really got excited about Chenin. And as I get older, I nowadays find things that I'm just falling in love with, and then starting to buy even Chenin Blanc for my own consumption in my own cellar.
Which is quite big. If anyone's seen your flat before, then they will know that you have wines everywhere. So you probably have space.
I have wine literally everywhere. Yes,
I know.
Yeah, it's true. And most of them are actually empty bottles, because nothing is left uncorked in my house for very long, for multiple reasons. Because I receive, because I test a lot, because I do few things like that with some other business, and also because I work in the wine industry, and I'm exposed to a lot of different things. So yes, there's quite a lot of wines in my house, plus I buy a lot of wines, and personally, and I like to experience. I like to experience different things at different price point. Don't as I like to start. I mean, nowadays find something at £7 or £8 even in the supermarket is tough. Even on trade, it's tough. There is few things, but that's very often you don't want to drink them, to be honest with you. So unfortunately, the sort of the entry level nowadays it's very hard to go lower than 9, 8.50, 9. But there is definitely still some value, and to me, I mean, we're not here to talk about another country, but to me, in Europe, you still have some bargain to be made. And funnily enough, given the economics of South Africa, the rand, which is the currency there, is also, I think it's like 300 rand to a pound or something stupid, and you get for like 900 rand, something like this, £3 you get a bottle of wine in South Africa. It's pretty affordable, with the exchange rate is actually on our favor if you travel to South Africa. Unfortunately, as soon as people start to get wine from there, ship them all across the world, and then take their fat margin, that's gone.
Yeah,
plus
the excise duty and everything else.
£6, at a wine shop, or even at a wine merchant, So unfortunately, that doesn't really help. But Chenin Blanc, as we call it, off the record.
I think it's a great name, by the way. I really like it.
From Elgin. So Elgin is basically the eastern part of the country. Elgin is actually the southern tip of South Africa, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Ocean, a little bit of beach, and then a massive mountain, like a massive mountain. So again, all those winds stop there and goes up. The rain comes one side, the other. It's staggering places, very staggering places. Beautiful fog in the morning. So again, you got that diurnal, you get that capacity to maintain acidity, and that's where some of the most beautiful white and red, especially Pinot Noir, come from nowadays in this country. And now it's starting to really elevate. There's a lot of plantings happening because it's challenging, obviously, because of disease pressure, because of humidity, and so on. But the result is definitely worth the try, and you've got some amazing ones coming through. And then that's probably one of them. The nose is just classic Chenin. You've got the pear, the apple, the quince, the bruise pear, definitely. You get a sort of cook quince. You got stone fruit as well. You got mirabelle. The yellow plums as such. Flowery.
You get a bit of that sort of oaky character to it as well on the nose.
Bee wax encaustic, as they call it. You got definitely apple blossom, orange blossom. You get that sort of floral touch of herbal dill sort of,
and almost a bit of that sort of honeyed notes as well.
I associate that with the honeysuckle, but I agree. There's such a bee wax honey can go in the same direction. Definitely. There's definitely a bit of oak there, but again, on that style, I don't think there's new oak. I think it's old oak. It's a sort of oxidoreduction, maybe malolactic in oak, in order to get a little bit more action from the air without having most of the flavor profile. But you get that sort of slightly. It was kind of reduced when I opened it. So reduction is something that personally I love in wine. It means that the winemaker has worked a lot with oxygen. But no oxygen has to oxidate your wine. Oxygen has to protect the wine. It's a very different way. So you work in a reductive way, and the wine can be stained from it, but stained in a very good way, and the longevity and that sort of smokiness that comes out of it. Obviously, it's a bit more work, and it decanted, blah blah blah, bigger glass, blah, and maybe a bit of time as well. But then when the wine starts to open up, it gets off that sort of shell of reductivity. It's absolutely mind-blowing, and it's exactly what he's done 24 hours later. It was quite reductive yesterday, but to me this is by far, and as you know, I've spoken quite openly about it a few times in this conversation. I'm a red drinker. I'm not a big massive white drinker.
Certainly, you love rosé the best. Is that true?
Can we talk about something else?
Exactly. My point exactly.
Opinionated Frenchman. Yes, I know. I'm afraid, it comes with the gray hair and so on and so forth. But no, I think to me, by far, this is the wine of the lineup without a doubt.
Wow. Interesting.
It has just so much layers. It's just so charismatic. It's just so beautifully. The nose has so much to say.
The nose is definitely quite.
And decipher, you get those ideas that comes from that, that comes from that, that comes from that. It's very it's everything but boring. Put it that way.
True. Yeah, it's quite a big white, if I can say that, with that, all that nose, and then the palate as well, and then you get that sort of slightly honeyed and slightly almost like vanilla from the oak, obviously, but there's still loads of fruit as well. I think it's beautiful, actually.
But there's not a single touch of sweetness. This is not a single touch of sweet spices. It's
Yeah,
everything on the tautness, on the chiseling. It's everything on the almost on the savory side, the stone
very
fruit,
savory. Yeah,
and you've got that tension. Chenin definitely brings that, but also winemaking attention and cleverness, and you've got that um, dexterity in the winemaking that really elevates that sort of sensation of you just want to drink it. You just want to drink it. You want to explore even further. What is next to come? What is next to be delivered? What has the one? What story has the one to tell me?
you
And
know.
you get a sense of saltiness. This is definitely the sense of
Yeah,
place.
true. What I was gonna say is I don't want to be sound too general about Chenin Blanc, but Chenin Blanc often, for me at least, can be very flabby. I don't know if it's the right word, flabby, but it doesn't have uh, it has its sort of that pear sort of notes very often, and then when they use oak, they always a little bit like overuse it a little bit. But in this case, I think it's a very nicely balanced uh, white, which I was actually surprised about the style as well. But I think it's just so well made. I really love it.
And as I was saying earlier on, it's about to rely on to come back to what you were saying, and to me, Chenin is one of those grape varieties that I really struggled to understand.
Yeah,
For years, I really struggled for many reasons, and then now that I can sort of understand a bit more and be a bit more inclined to it. I think that I've wasted some years, that's for sure. But more importantly, I kind of get what the grape variety is all about. And when you said that Chenin can be a bit flabby, I don't think it's a good word. I don't think it's the word that I would
mhm.
that this did that translate the grape variety.
Not necessarily the grape variety. It's more about how they make it, or it's
But um,
on a bigger scale.
but to yeah, it can be just boring. It can be just annoying and just
You,
flat as such.
Chris, that these are a lot stronger words than what I used here. So I think the flabby is good.
Okay, I can.
But
And say no filter. So. No, but it's true. It's true. It's true. I
yeah,
mean, a great Chenin Blanc will always be a great Chenin Blanc, but it's like in everything in wine. A great champagne is a great champagne. A
yeah,
terrible champagne is a waste of money. Put it that way.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
a great Chenin Blanc, wherever it comes from, is a great bottle of wine. An annoying Chenin Blanc, an annoying Pinotage or whatever, it's just a waste of money. So it's all trying to find the wine, and that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing, is to tell people we're trying to pass a message that okay, it's a 20 pound bottle of wine, and don't get us wrong, it's a lot of money for a bottle of wine. However, that extra 10 pound that your budget push you to will deliver something that you will and hopefully say, wow, yeah, it's actually a great bottle of wine, and delicious, and I'm very happy that across that bridge. That's where I am. It's not just a question of money, but on that case, it's just that actually to reach that level of quality, you have to push the envelope, and
yeah,
eventually, unfortunately, somewhere, by the fact that everything goes up, and then we're not going to go
yeah,
into that direction in conversation, but it's what it is. If you want to drink a bottle of wine that is nowadays um, delicious, and it comes with a price tag. It's the sad reality, and wherever it comes from. We're talking earlier on by bargains still be found in few places in the world. Yeah, if you travel there, that's for sure. But if as soon as they come in this country, unfortunately, by the time they shipment, by the time fat cat
excise duty. Yeah,
importers and duties and taxes and blah 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 VAT and whatever you want to add that goes into the
yeah,
government, it's killing the entry level wine. It's killing it. Let's face it, it's killing it. So now you want to drink good wines, like you want to have nice clothes. You pay for it.
Yeah. And on the food part, where would you put this in terms of, food pairing? Because
You
it's
see, to me, given the fact that I tend to put the white wine after the red for many reasons.
Mhm.
For me, this is a cheese wine.
Okay. Yeah.
You go with
Hmm.
creamy cheese, you go with brie, you go with cow's milk, you go with goat milk, you go with ewe milk, you go with different pressed Comté style, or you go with pâte fleurie, or even some blue Stilton, Tamworth, or wherever you want to play, France, Italy, Manchego in Spain, or whatever.
Yeah.
This will work because of that beautiful acidity and the
Yeah.
flavor profile. It will balance out so well those intense cheese profile. And if you want to play more on the like 50% with the main course and 50% with the cheese, same thing. I would go on the drier side, so basically not especially oily fish.
Yeah.
So no salmon, no mackerel. I would go probably more on the sort of again sustainable, like what's it called? This fish that I buy that I love absolutely. Um, it's, it's basset. It's not sea bass. No, it's not sea bass because sea bass is
Not
not.
sea bass. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's not sea bass. I mean, I love sea bass. Don't get me wrong. But Colette and so on. The fish that you never seen 15 years ago, and now you don't know where they come from, but they're just great, affordable and
Yeah.
delicious piece of fish, because cod is not sustainable anymore. I mean, who doesn't like their cod? Don't get me wrong, but it's crazy. Or anything to do with seafood in general. Again, you're going to say, but like you like your risotto. Yes, I like my risotto because it can be super versatile. We can really play, I know, the
I,
vegetable side or the meaty side or the mushroom side, pasta, just simple pasta. We all are in the same sort of boat, economic wise. So if you spend £20 in a bottle of wine, I want to spend some good money in my food, but I want it to be delicious and not especially costing me,
an arm and a leg. Yes.
wedge, so pasta. If you do very things like simple over the weekend, I did something very simple. I did what we call a gratin dauphinois. So
Mhm.
it's so easy to make. It's potato. It's
Okay.
potato, milk, cream, nutmeg, onion, garlic, obviously, some fresh herbs. You put that in a pan, the milk and all those flavors. You make it boil. Then when it cools down, you put the double cream. You let it slowly cooling down a bit more, and you stir it. You remove all the herbs and all elements that were in the middle, so you get all the liquid. You get one of those mandolin, one of those shaving thing.
Hmm.
Potato style of potato. You need chantenaise, specific time, because otherwise the water just basically ruin the dish. And then basically you shave them to very thin layers, and then a bit sort of a thin, probably about 3-4 inches pan
Yeah.
or vessel as such,
Yeah.
flat, and then a layer, bit of onion, a bit of garlic, a bit of juice, another
Okay.
layer,
I'm going to eat now. Sorry.
and
Yeah.
then
No.
you finish that with some grated cheeses, and then you put that in the oven for an hour and a half, and you forget.
Ah.
Not
Okay.
to
I'm
slow
hungry.
down
I'm
to then
hungry.
20 and 50, because you don't want it to completely
Yeah.
burn. And then what I do, because that's the recipe, that's my mom recipe, I cook it twice.
Okay.
Yeah, so
How
I
how
cook
can
it,
you wait
get it
that
out,
long? That's the
then I cut
question.
it completely, and it's more. I cut it, so I put like a layers of knives into it to open it up, and then I put it back in the oven for about half an hour. And
But how
that's,
can you wait that long, Chris? This it's like
I'm French.
oh sorry. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm, it's not a problem
But
because
it
the result is all what. So go back to the point, is to me that sort of dishes that can be, you could actually put some other element into it, some piece of fishes or whatever. So like do
yeah.
like uh, like a stew almost. With this, it's perfect.
It's actually quite funny because before you mentioned risotto, and I know you love risotto, but I was thinking risotto or creamy pasta dish would work really well with something like this,
No,
in
exactly.
my opinion.
No, completely. No, exactly. Because the texture, the acidity
Yeah,
will cut through any given texture. The food profile will sustain a lot of different
yeah,
parameters as well. From green, from vegetable
yeah,
to more earthy orientation, or pasta, or even some rice. A nice basmati would work fantastic with that.
yeah,
Because the versatility, and to a certain extent,
yeah,
on its own,
yeah,
it's a delicious glass of wine.
yeah.
It's probably a bit too intense to be drunk on its own. It's maybe
Yeah, I was gonna
too
say
much
it's just a
on the
little bit
finish.
that too much of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
quite big. It's quite an
yeah,
intense, robust, and powerful beast. But definitely with food, it will deliver so much pleasure. And
but
again,
I think
you imagine that now, because obviously the wintry aspect, but then you turn that around and you're thinking, okay, summer, what do you do? And again, it's just fantastic fresh asparagus on the barbie, like this, just
yeah,
back and forth, fantastic. A piece of tuna that you go on a barbecue, like 1, 2, 3, 4, in like 1 minute it's cooked. Bam. Or swordfish, or something that's got texture. Definitely
yeah.
something that's a piece of fish. To me, one of the greatest fish on the planet is. Um, oh gosh, the word has just left me.
Cod. It's not cod, is it?
No, 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 no. It's this. Oh, I do apologize. It's crazy. Monkfish.
Monkfish. Okay. Yeah.
Monkfish, because of the texture. It's so meaty. you know. And usually you find monkfish without their head because they're quite ugly. But so you get the tail of the monkfish, and you buy the whole tail. You prep yourself, and then same thing. You attack it on a pan, and then you finish it in the oven like you would treat meat, basically.
I, I,
And
I was gonna say something probably very wrong actually, but just came into my mind because what we do often with barbecue is have a piece of mushroom and stuff it with cheese and put some little herbs in it
yeah,
and cook that on the barbecue. And I was
yeah.
just thinking that would be quite interesting on something like this,
But
but I don't
you
know.
see, you make me think actually that very often one of the product that is the hardest to combine with wine is capsicum
Okay.
or pepper,
Yeah,
red,
yeah,
yellow,
yeah.
whatever. Same thing on the barbie. On the barbie, so you don't boil them. You could, but you don't. You get
Yeah,
them raw. You cut them like
yeah,
half. You fill them up with whatever,
yeah,
some meat, sort of raw meat that you dice together, and so on,
yeah.
or even rice or whatever. You put that on a barbie with this. Perfect, absolutely
Mm.
perfect. Because
Unfortunately,
pyrazine, the grape, the one element flavor profile that comes with
yeah,
from pepper, especially from green pepper, is extremely hard to match.
yeah.
But with that Chenin Blanc, that texture, that zing, and that power and that flavor profile, it will definitely work on those formats. And I think it's a beautiful beast. I love it. Really, really love it.
Uh, Unfortunately, this is not a cooking show, but I think we should, get back to this. And maybe during the summer, what we could do is we could do lives with like while we're cooking the barbecue and drinking at the same time. That would be cool, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, I think we could get our good friend Brad,
yeah,
and then do something, a recording like this, the three of us.
yeah.
As we everyone brings a piece of
A
whatever,
bottle, a
and
bottle
then
of
they
wine and a food.
bring their
Yeah,
own kind of technique to
yeah,
the barbie, and their own wine, and why do I do this with this and so on. It could be fun. It could be fun.
Sounds good.
Quite long, I guess.
Sounds good.
Because I'm classically trained, so before I was a sommelier. Obviously, I went to a catering school, so that's how I learned to cook. And my mum is actually quite a good cook too. So I've spent a few hours in the kitchen.
But you see, that's the thing. You don't have to worry about it, because me, I have to worry about it, because I'm the one who doing the chopping up the videos sort of things here. So
I'm chopping up the vegetables.
You're chopping the vegetables. I do the video after that. Yeah, okay, fine. Anyway, Chris, I think it was a great selection of wine. Actually, you obviously said that the Chenin Blanc is your favorite. I'm just gonna go with this little Pinotage,
Look, it's
which is surprising for me as well, but it is.
I have to admit, I was a bit torn about both, but the Chenin has just so much character and personality. It's hard to not to highlight the work that is done by the Wallace brothers. Even though I haven't really found more information as far about them, but I will definitely dig, because I think those guys are genius.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, this was our Perfect Tasting Box Spotlight on South Africa series or selection. And I think, well, regardless, we drank the wines from the bottles at this stage. We already tasted these tasting packs, and I think we can both vouch for the quality what comes from these boxes.
And it's Christmas! Indulge in wine!
Yes, but Chris, this is another bit which I have to cut now, because this is the January selection. Come on. Just keep
dry January, yes.
Yeah.
Dry January.
Jesus. Anyway, I'm going to keep this in. I don't care. But other than that, I think it was a great range of wines. I don't know if you agree, but I think it's a good selection of wines generally from this January.
No, it's surprising again. Against for many reasons, South Africa is not especially where my heart stands to be, in terms of wine drinking and wine production. Even though it's one of the most forward thinking in today's world, and you've got some amazing people there that make some, as I said earlier on, some amazing expression. And so it's an eye opener on what could be done, what's there, what's already exists, and so on. And having found those two extraordinary style in also representing very much the archetype of what South Africa, Pinotage and Chenin Blanc, at that level, I think it's fantastic, and I would definitely vouch for more of those, because it's really an eye opener for any of us that like wines and that are happy to just go and explore and open and pull a cork and just say, look, guys, there's this, and it was like wow, and very much wow.
Well, that was a good ending of it. But anyway, guys, if you don't forget it, this is a regular feature for us now. Tasting Box 3 or Tasting Box 6 packs. So go for it, and I believe see you guys next month with some more interesting stuff.
Indeed.
Anyway, have a good one.
Thanks very much,
guys.
Yes, guys. Speak soon.